Welcome to the Numbers Game, the show where analytics meets the action and data drives the decisions. I'm Cynthia Frelund, and day 4 of the NFL Scouting Combine is over, so I hopped on 2 planes, and now I am back home. The big guys did their thing. You know I love offensive linemen, and the 2025 Combine is now in the books, which means we should probably do some takeaways. So here are 6 takeaways from day 4's workouts, which means offensive linemen. And let's do like 3 kind of little strategy and data points on 3 rumblings that we heard across the combine that could shape free agency and therefore have a very big impact on the potential draft picks in the 2025 draft, which of course is in Green Bay on April 24th. Takeaway number 1. Fun fact, there were 5 offensive linemen who ran a sub 5-second 40-yard dash again this year. That continues a trend where we've seen at least 5 big guys break 5 seconds for 4 combines straight now. This is also the tallest group we've had to date, with an average height of 6 feet 5 3/8 inches, which is a full quarter inch taller than the next tallest group, which was the 2005 combine participants. 8 of this year's O-linemen were at least 6 feet 7 inches tall, which is tied for the second most over 6'7" players, and that was the 2005 class, who had 10. Takeaway number 2. Let's have the Will Campbell talk. First, his results. The LSU tackle measured in at 6 feet 5 7/8 inches, so basically 6'6". He weighed 319 pounds and ran a 4.98 40. That was the 5th fastest in the class. His wingspan, it was the shortest in the group. We get it. Let's talk about his arms, though. He measured in at 32 5/8 inches. Think of 34 inches as the number to hit here. His arm length is shorter than more than 90% of starting tackles in the NFL, and there has not been a Pro Bowl or All-Pro tackle with arms that are shorter than 33 inches in at least 20 years. It could be longer. I just only looked 20 years back. Oh, and since 2020, 8 of the 11 All-Pro tackles have had at least 34-inch arms. Does it matter? Probably. Is it a concern? Absolutely. Do I think he should be downgraded as my first overall guy in the class at any position on the O-line? Absolutely not. Why? His film. His film is the best, and testing that he can control for, he freaking aced. Do I think he should move to guard? In a perfect world, maybe, but scarcity rules the day. There are a lot of longer-armed tackles who play in this league that have had far worse results against bull rushes, took worse angles with a cylinder of their bodies, especially on outside runs, and raised their center of gravity too high, aka lost leverage, at way worse rates than Campbell when they were coming out of college. Can you coach around shorter arms? I don't know. It seems possible, but it's not a question I can really answer. I can imagine that the teams with the better O-line coaches will have more solutions, though. Bottom line, it all comes back to scarcity. Campbell is my model's most day 1 ready-to-play tackle in this year's class. Takeaway 3. Armin Membu from Mizzou. He's 6'4" 1/4 inches tall, weighs 332 pounds, and had the second best vert of any player over 330 pounds since 2003 at 34 inches. He also became the 3rd over 330-pound player to broad jump at least 9'7" since 2003. Who were the other 2? Just Jordan Davis and Jason Peters. Oh, and his 4.91 40-yard dash included a 1.74 10-yard split, which means he's likely going to be rising on my mock draft list, or at least my overall player list. The question here is the fit better at inside offensive line or tackle? My model says inside, but again, that could shift draft position and could be a source of difference between any mock I would do and how a team might draft. Takeaway 4. Josh Connolly from Oregon is 6'0" 311 pounds, and he ran a 5.05 official 40. However, the thing I care about more is his 10-yard split. His was the fastest at the position, among all the positions inside or outside, at 1.71 seconds. His hips, balance, feet, they all tracked really well per computer vision too. In fact, they tracked better than some of his college films. So that's a source to go back, double check the math, and maybe elevate him a little bit. Takeaway 5. Kelvin Banks from Texas measured in at 6'5" and 315 pounds. And of all of the combine guys, his lateral scores using computer vision from college were the 3rd best of this group. Now, he tracked remember everyone didn't participate. He tracked as the best at doing so in the combine. So this really projects for keeping his hips down and being in the ideal place and angle moving left to right during games. So he tracked even better than he actually performed if you look at his film. But again, not everyone participated. However, this is good stuff for him. Takeaway number 6. It's my proverbial beer guy, the guy I'd most like to sit down and get to know a little bit better from day 4. My point in doing this here is to show some things I'm fortunate enough to be able to observe because I got to stand on the field. This event, it's a little weird. Think about it. All of their college film, it is done. There's nothing they can do about it. And tiny refinements are happening. However, there's camaraderie and there's competition and it's a highly charged environment. Everybody's watching your job. It can be a little weird. So the guys who have great personalities stand out in such a positive way. And I will tell you, for some positions, maybe not necessarily alignment, but like these little tiny things are the difference in making a team or not. You know, a lot of special teamers can come from that. But the one I want to know more about from this class comes from North Dakota State. Gray Zabel. He measured in at 6'0", 312 pounds. He had the best vert among the O-linemen at 36.5 inches. In high school, he played basketball and baseball. I need to know how big he was in high school because in my head, I am conjuring up some of that Andy Reid childhood film. If you haven't watched it, Google, it's hilarious. I love Zabel's film from college. North Dakota State, obviously a very interesting school. And I don't know if I saw many things more genuine than his response to, you know, when he was asked about like the Dolphins talking to me, he's like, it's surreal. And he looked like a kid in a candy store. Also, looking at his body language with the guys, I need to know about how his conversation went with them, but also with Mike McDaniel. Is there a video of this? Someone please. I imagine it's so incredibly entertaining. Okay, now for my thoughts on some of the combine rumblings that I think are worth having a look at, kind of through data, through strategy, so we can have our own educated opinions. Rumbling number 1, Sam Darnold to stay put in Minnesota, as in getting a deal done that keeps him there for a few years. To me, this is all about scarcity. This episode brought to you by the word scarcity. It will be interesting to see how JJ McCarthy fares coming off of a meniscus, but I did a lot of math here, and even if you adjust for ROI, I know the price will be higher for, I get it, Sam Darnold's, he did a lot of stuff to drive his price up. However, there are a few free agent alternatives to target at the position that would be a better fit. And again, I adjusted for ROI, especially if you consider being fully up to speed and having minimal adjustment periods in Minnesota. It seems interesting and it seems like a smart move. McCarthy is still on the rookie deal. And obviously, it's kind of like nothing changed this year. The caveat, of course, is how much they will pay him. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see a tag for Sam Darnold, which is around a $40 million commitment for this season. However, what it really does is give Minnesota until July 15th to get a longer-term deal done with $40 million as the backstop. So the BATNA, best alternative to the negotiated agreement, $40 million. I don't think you can do better. And you still have Justin Jefferson to consider and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson. You have a very good team. I think you are close enough. I mean, look at how close they got this year. Combine rumbling number 2. Shedeur Sanders' draft stock is tumbling. Okay, welcome to March. This is the point in the season where we hear lots of mixed reviews on how every single prospect, and then double, quadruple, million times that for quarterbacks, on how they interviewed, on what their workout meant. He didn't work out, so whatever. Most of it is noise. More signals or true signals will come after his pro day and the 30 visits. Remember, that's where each team can bring up to 30 prospects into their buildings to continue the job interviews ahead of the draft on their terms. Anyone who says they know how this will play out yet, meaning anyone except the people who are actually in the position to make these decisions, they're almost assuredly giving you their opinion. And by the way, we've already known that there are ranging opinions on Sanders. Absolutely zero changed in my model about him in Indy because we didn't really have anything we could measure him on there. And I think because he was well coached, and you can imagine that the interview process is probably exactly what people expected. Rumbling number 3. Both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins will be in Cincinnati this next season in 2025, to which my math says, Bengals, you better do this. T. Higgins, franchise tag, and then Jamar Chase, long-term deal, and then they'll reconfigure. I don't necessarily think T will play on the tags. It doesn't really matter. Let's just say it like that. We're going to have 2 great receivers for Joe Burrow. Now, the one that is a wild card that I truly believe is a Don't know where he's going to end up. Value proposition is Cooper Kupp. We know Matthew Stafford will be returning to the Rams, but Cooper Kupp, where does he end up? Thank you so much for your patience with me this week, especially these past 2 days. That friend that I told you about that was very ill, she passed away, at least peacefully, over the weekend. And eventually, I'm going to find more happiness and gratitude in having nearly 20 years of memories. I mean, all the memories, so much fun. She's the best person. But right now, I'm really effing mad and I hate cancer and my heart's pretty broken and I'm feeling a little bad. But we'll get to gratitude. We'll get to gratitude. However, this show and community that we're building means a ton to me. Thank you for hanging out. I will be back on Wednesday for our full weekly show. And boy, do we have some fun things to talk about. If you like the show, and I really hope that you do, please like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and pass it along so we can continue to grow. And if nothing else, tell all of the people that you love just how much you love them.